Hey guys, what's up? So I'm starting a new series on international relations. So there have been many requests, and I also teach international relations, especially India's neighbors. So I would be starting a new series on India-Pakistan relations. We'll be starting with neighbors first. So Pakistan, the first country. Part 1, presented by me, Ayussh Sanghi. So, learning about anything related to international relations focuses on one particular thing where we just have to realize that there should be an angle associated with any country to India. There should be an Indian angle. Reason that unless until there is an Indian angle, it's no longer important for examination. It may be important for knowledge. It may be important for, just making a political debate out of it, but it's not important for examination. Hence, we should specifically have an Indian angle to it, presented by me. So if you have to read more about me, you can follow me on this Unacademy user link. And if you think that these lessons are contributing in any manner, which I think they would, so please hit the contribute to Ayush button to contribute to me. Now, starting with India-Pakistan relations, I would first let you know that what is in store for you. So after the series, you would be able to answer these questions. Question number 1, what is the historical perspective of Indo-Pak relations? Right from the 1947 era, from the 1947 up till right now, whatever is going on. So we would be covering every single aspect. First is the historical perspective. Second, what was there a crisis between two countries? Why was there a crisis between two countries? And the third is all issues pertaining to India-Pakistan relations. So we will have 3 questions answered, or rather we would have 3 questions in detail so that you are able to answer mostly any question on India-Pakistan relations. Specifically the static part, dynamic part keeps on changing, so I would try to make it as dynamic as possible. So first we would be digging into the historical perspective of Indo-Pakistan relations. Now, let me tell you one thing that it is simply speaking, a new country was born out of a mindset. It was just a mindset. So it was born out of carving out of two geographically far-flung areas from the erstwhile British India. So erstwhile British India, they started carving out 2 areas. But how do you make sure that you have to carve out this area of Punjab or you have to carve out this area of West Bengal? There may have been a reason. There may have been certain categorization for carving out that area. So the basis of the division was a sense of difference in identity. Difference in identity in terms of people not being able to identify with the other people in the same area, in the country. So that was a denominated area which was dominated mostly by a different religion people, whether in, you can say, western part, or you can say the western part of Punjab and eastern part of Bangladesh. This gave a rise to instability in the government, which is why, because the government representatives of those people who were not able to identify, so they weren't very happy with the entire management and administration. So the inefficiency of political parties and a weak political culture, it led to the division of people and of geographies, leading to a scenario for a politically and socially unstable state. So this led to the partition of British India, led to the creation of 2 sovereign states. One was the Union of India and the second was the Dominion of Pakistan. So when you have Union of India, that is the country which we are living in right now presently, and the Dominion of Pakistan, which is again the other country that was created out of division in the August of 1947. So let's understand, was the partition just of boundaries or just of geography, or was there partition of something else? So was the partition just for boundaries or something else? Partition was in respect of the division of the Bengal province of British India into East Pakistan and West Bengal, Bengal India, and the similar partition of the Punjab province into Punjab of West Pakistan and Punjab of India. So these were the 2 regions. One was East Pakistan and the other was West Pakistan. These were the geographical boundaries that were created. But what was the partition of actually all about? So there was also respective divisions of, this is very, very important. So please be very, very sure that sure of the respective divisions of assets. That there was division of asset, including the British Indian Army, even that was divided. The Indian civil services were divided. Other administrative services were divided. The railways were divided. The central treasury of the erstwhile British India was divided. So there was division of not just geographies, but there was division of all these services which were also there in the British British India. Pakistan was virtually divided into two geographically far-flung divisions with distinctly separate cultures, never to be assimilated in a single nationhood. Why I say never to be assimilated, I would explain you the entire reason behind it, so we would just understand. So please be very, very clear as to what all led to this kind of division, and what all led to the separate nations which we today know as Pakistan and Bangladesh. Now, these two areas, the far-flung areas, which is Western Pakistan and Eastern Pakistan, there was a major crisis. But first, we would understand the crisis between Pakistan and India, because Pakistan had two parts and India was a separate country. So there was a major crisis between the two. The relationship between these two twin states got sour from the very beginning. There had been three types of wars between the two countries: two full-scale wars in 1965 and 1971 with India, two limited wars 1947 and 1999, and an ongoing proxy war. By proxy war, I mean that something that is already going on, like ceasefire violations, like the recent Uri attacks. So all these are proxy wars which keep on going on vis-a-vis Pakistan. So these three types of wars are going on, had been already there, and one is still going on, which are there in between two countries. So this is a type of war. Probably you may not have heard this before, so I'm telling you a separate type of knowledge. So you can thank me in the comment section below. So what was the reason for enmity between two countries, India and Pakistan, sorry? Causes of enmity between two countries was firstly the Kashmir issue. The biggest issue, the Kashmir issue. Second is the East Pakistan Bangladesh issue. East Pakistan erstwhile, Bangladesh right now issue. Third is Shimla Accord, SIACHEN issue, the Sir Creek issue, and the water disputes. So all these had led to certain issues which we have to now address. Reason being because these two are leading to further, they are creating further enmity. So these were the major causes of enmity between the two countries. In this lesson, I'm going to cover the first big issue, that is the Kashmir issue. The Kashmir issue. What is the background of Kashmir issue? So let's take you back in the era of 1947, where Kashmir was a separate princely state, and that wasn't signing the instrument of accession. So it was led by a ruler by the name of Maharaja Hari Singh. This northern state was populated predominantly by Muslims. The Kashmir, the present-day Jammu and Kashmir state, was ruled by a Hindu Maharaja. The Maharaja Hari Singh did not take any decision regarding the state's accession before or immediately after 15th of August 1947. So because the instrument of accession wasn't signed, it means that Kashmir wasn't merging in the Indian territory. If Kashmir wasn't merging, what did it want? Did it want a separate country? Did it want to merge with Pakistan? So its merging with Pakistan became a fear for India. So Maharaja Hari Singh was approached by top bureaucrats of Pakistan as well as India to merge into either of the two countries. So pending his final decision, Maharaja Hari Singh's decision, the Maharaja signed a standstill agreement with Pakistan. Standstill agreement, for the time being agreement with Pakistan. But the problem was that this agreement wasn't recognized by India. India was not in favor of such a temporary agreement. Hence, India didn't recognize it. In the month of October 1947, this what we are talking about is August 1947. So in the October 1947, an attack took place on Kashmir by the so-called tribal uprising elements of northwestern frontier region of Pakistan, which is why he became scared. So immediately before the attack by Pakistan-sponsored tribals on Kashmir began, a senior official of Pakistan Foreign Office visited Kashmir and tried to persuade Hari Singh to agree to join Pakistan. And this is where the crisis started. Maharaja refused to take any decision in haste. Quickly, soon thereafter, the aggression began. They launched the attack on 22nd of October 1947 in a number of sectors. So they were well-trained, equipped, the Pakistani army. Within a short period, they reached very close to Srinagar, a place by the name of Baramulla, which happens to be around 25 miles from Srinagar. This scared the Maharaja. It was only after the commencement of the aggression that Hari Singh signed the instrument of accession in favor of India. So this was a major reason of the Kashmir issue. So what led to this? The accession of J&K to India became final on 27th of October, and the Indian army was airlifted to clear the aggressions near the Srinagar area. Now, where earlier India did not agree to the standstill agreement, now Pakistan wasn't agreeing to the instrument of accession signed by signed by the Kashmiri ruler. So Pakistan refused to sign the accession, and Prime Minister of Pakistan, Liaquat Ali Khan, stated that the accession of Kashmir to India is a fraud perpetrated on the people of Kashmir because they were predominantly Muslims by its cowardly ruler with the aggressive help of the government of India. In this way, thus started the root cause of enmity between the two neighbors, which it still continues. So this is something that we haven't been able to address so far. I'll be coming out with more of such awesome lessons. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Hey guys, what's up? I hope you watched my lesson on India-Pakistan relations. The first part, the lesson was focusing upon how the Indo-Pak relations have become so sour and the issues which are associated with the same. So I would be taking the lessons forward and I would be taking it to the second part, discussing or taking the discussion further. In my last lesson, I had discussed about the Kashmir issue in detail, and in this lesson, I'm going to make you understand what are the other things that have led to the major crisis. Lesson is presented by me, Ayussh Sanghi. This is the second part. Please follow me on this Unacademy user link for more of such awesome lessons. Hit contribute to Ayush button if you think that these lessons are benefiting you in any manner. So after this series, as you already know, that you would be able to answer the questions. What is the historical perspective of Indo-Pak relations? What was the crisis between the two countries? And all issues pertaining to Indo-Pak relations. What were the issues basically? So as I told you earlier, there are certain causes of enmity between two countries, starting from the Kashmir issue. Then comes the East Pakistan or Bangladesh issue, Shimla Accord, SIACHEN issue, Sir Creek and water dispute. I have already discussed in proper detail that what has led to the Kashmir issue and why has it snowballed into such a huge thing. So this is the Kashmir issue. I would be furthering my discussion in this particular lesson on Eastern Pakistan or Bangladesh issue. Then comes the Shimla Accord, SIACHEN and Sir Creek. So we would be taking 4 disputes or 4 causes in this particular lesson. Furthering, we would be taking our discussion to water dispute. Coming to the discussion of Eastern Pakistan or Bangladesh. East Pakistan, erstwhile East Pakistan, that was created only because of the same reason that we have discussed earlier, that it was dominated by Muslims in that region. So when India was partitioned in 47, the basis for partition was religion, majorly religion. This is what we think, that it was primarily religion. And yes, it was religion. Religion formed a major part of it. But what happened afterwards? What happened afterwards? The Muslim majority areas in West as well as East constituted the new state of Pakistan. Now, the Western Pakistan at that point of time was ruled, and the Eastern Pakistan came under direct jurisdiction of the Western Pakistan leadership. So in between the two wings of Pakistan, there was about 1,200 miles of Indian territory. So India is in between. We have Pakistan on the west and East Pakistan on the east. The majority of Muslim population lived in the east, but the country's politics was controlled by the leadership in the west. This became a problem. That leadership was in the west, but the majority of Muslim population resided in the east. So ideally, the leadership should have been at both places. But it wasn't the case so. On top of it, the problematic reason was that the notion that Islam would unite two parts of Pakistan proved to be a myth. Why it proved to be a myth? The language and cultural traditions in the two parts of Pakistan were different. So it's Eastern Pakistan, people were separated from Bangladesh. So it was mainly, they were used to speaking Bengali, they were used to follow a particular tradition, a particular culture, a particular language. And if you force them, if you force the people coming from such cultural diverse backgrounds to speaking Urdu, obviously that approach would backfire. So instead of bringing about emotional integration between people of both parts, Pakistan's bureaucratic military rulers sought to dominate East Bengal. East Bengal was dominated by these bureaucratic leaders, and that too not on emotional integration but on something else. Like Urdu was forcefully put and they were asked to accept Urdu as their main language. Imposition of Urdu was totally unacceptable to people of East Pakistan. This also became a problem. The immediate cause of conflict was denial of the office of Prime Minister of Pakistan to the leader of Awami League, this person, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, even when his party had won these many seats, majority seats in Pakistan National Assembly elections held in this year. So that led to, resentment between the people or within the people of East Pakistan. So if there is so much of resentment, obviously most of the issues would not be able to be handled in an amicable manner. So excessive violence erupted by the Western Pakistan people on the East Bengal or the East Pakistan. The Pakistani security forces let loose a reign of terror on them. So hundreds of thousands of people were killed, women were raped, and most of the people were, acting as refugees. They were escaping Bangladesh and they were entering into India. About 1 crore people arrived in India as refugees. This brought India into picture. Now you may ask that why would India come into the picture? If two countries are fighting, why should India be bothered? It's because India had people influx, large amount of influx of people from that particular area. So Indian Prime Minister, the then Prime Minister, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, she had to establish contacts with the Western forces to intervene. Like she established contact with the Western powers to pressurize Pakistan to stop the massacre of people in East Bengal, so that Bangla refugees could be sent back to their homes. But Mrs. Gandhi's visits to Western capital were not fruitful. So finally, on humanitarian grounds, trust me, it was on humanitarian grounds where I've read a lot about these things. To the people coming from East Pakistan, they were given food, shelter, etc. So Pakistan thought that Indian government was indirectly supporting East Pakistan, which is why Pakistan used it as a pretext and launched air raid or airstrike on Indian air bases in the western sector. That led to a full-scale war. So hence this started the war of 1971, which ultimately led to the liberation of Bangladesh. Bangladesh got liberated in because of India's help. So they owe us big time. This led to liberation of Bangladesh. This was the second major reason of dispute between India and Pakistan. Coming to the third issue is the Shimla Accord. Immediately after the 1971 war, in 1972, there was an accord or there was a meeting in Shimla with all the bureaucrats, top-level bureaucrats and the respective leaders of both the countries, India and Pakistan. So Indira Gandhi and Bhutto had met along with their delegations for discussions. So after diplomatic level negotiations for several months, India-Pakistan summit was held at Shimla in the end of 72. Indira Gandhi and Bhutto were with their high-level delegations met for complex and extensive discussions on various issues arising out of the war. Whatever were the issues, Bangladesh got liberated, and on general bilateral relations. So Shimla Accord, although it is a huge accord, there are books and books written on this particular thing, but you don't have to go in that deep. Basically, the issues that were agreed upon in the accord were the repatriation of the prisoners of war. Whoever was caught by Pakistan, whoever was caught on either side of the borders would be repatriated, released by that respective country. The recognition of Bangladesh as a separate country by Pakistan. Now, this is something that Pakistan had to accept. So this was agreed upon on paper. Normalization of diplomatic relations between India and Pakistan, bilateral relations, they would be in a peaceful, amicable manner, and resumption of trade and fixation of international line of control in Kashmir. So these were the major things that had led to a Shimla Accord. The objectives of both the leaders were very, very clear. These were the issues were to be resolved, so objectives were agreed upon. Objectives which both leaders agreed upon were seek peaceful solutions to disputes and problems through bilateral negotiations. Neither India nor Pakistan would unilaterally change the existing situation. They would trust and they would make sure that they don't violate each other's boundaries, not to use force against each other and not violate the territorial integrity. And thirdly, not interfere in political freedom of each other. So these things had to be looked in from this aspect of Shimla Accord. The next issue was the Siachen issue, which still is an issue. Siachen is a long stretch. It's almost a big stretch of like 70 kilometers. It's a glacier. Actually, Siachen is a glacier. And it's a 70-kilometer long glacier on which India has established control. It is a military conflict region between India and Pakistan over the disputed Siachen Glacier region in Kashmir. The conflict began in 84 when India was successful in its Operation Meghdoot. So remember the name and remember the year. In 84, India established its rule on Siachen. India wrested control of the Siachen Glacier from Pakistan and forced the Pakistani to retreat west of Saltoro Ridge. So remember the name of the ridge, the Saltoro Ridge, and the passes which are near to the Saltoro Ridge that have to be protected from any kind of infiltration. So India had established its control over the 70-kilometer long Siachen Glacier and its tributary glaciers, where the three main passes of Saltoro Ridge immediately west of glacier, where the Siala, Bilafonla and Gyongla came into picture. So these are protected by the Indian government, and Indian government has its entire hold on the entire glacier. This particular year, 2016, Siachen Glacier has been extremely important, reason being that there was an avalanche in the month of February, which led to the killing of, or not killing is not the right word, but led to the death of more than 10 soldiers. You may have heard a very famous name by the name of Lance Nayak Hanumanthappa. He died at Siachen, or he died. He was under the buried under the snow, and he was brought back to Delhi, but he couldn't survive, unfortunately. So that entire thing led to the dispute that is Siachen, or should Siachen, given the respect or given those kind of security, what it deserves. So rather, the questions were put that we do not need security on Siachen because nobody would be willing to enter from that area because of the punishing temperatures, very low temperatures, and it's practically not possible to carry out any operation against any country by any country. But India has still led to its forces staying over there because there is a nexus between Pakistan and China that could be used against India. So I would be coming out with more of such awesome lessons. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Hey guys, what's up? I'm back with my lesson on India-Pakistan relations. So this is the third part of the series, and we were discussing as to disputes between the two countries. So watch my last lesson to be aware about the major crises that had occurred between the two countries and what were the reasons for the same. So we had discussed up till the Siachen issue in my last lesson, and in this lesson I would be continuing with the other issues. So the agenda for this lesson would be Sir Creek, Indus Water Treaty, and furthering our discussion on many other things like the Pakistan civil military army relationship. Lesson is presented by me, Ayussh Sanghi. So follow me on this Unacademy user link for more of such awesome lessons, and hit contribute to Ayush button if you think that these lessons are contributing to your prep in any manner. So in this lesson I would be taking forward my discussion with the Sir Creek issue. Sir Creek, the historical aspect and current situation. Historical aspect and current situation. Now, what is Sir Creek? It's basically an erstwhile place which lies in between Gujarat, present-day Gujarat, and Sindh province of Pakistan. So it lies right in between, and it's a long strip of almost 96 kilometers. So that strip got disputed when there was partition between India and Pakistan, because Sindh was a part of erstwhile India, the Bombay Presidency. So Sir Creek is a 96-kilometer strip of water disputed between India and Pakistan in the run of Kutch marshlands. The creek opens up into the Arabian Sea. So it divides the Kutch region of the Indian state of Gujarat with the Sindh province of Pakistan. So after partition, the dispute arose. The dispute lies in the interpretation of maritime boundary. This is the dispute. Interpretation of maritime boundary in between Kutch and Sindh. Before India's independence, the provincial region was part of Bombay Presidency of British India. After India's independence in 47, Sindh became a part of Pakistan while Kutch remained a part of India. So this entire dispute is of this 96-kilometer strip as to who will own it. Nobody is able to give up on its claim. So after partition, Pakistan lays claim to the entire creek. This boundary line is also known by separate names like the green line or the indicative line or the ribbon line in technical jargon. Now India is sticking to its claims on the basis of what? So there was a doctrine by the name of Thalwik Doctrine signed in 1925 which gives the mid-channel claim to India. Mid-channel is the maritime boundary. So India sticks to its position that the boundary lies mid-channel as depicted in a map drawn in 1925 and implemented by the installation of mid-channel pillars back in 24. So India supports its stance by citing the Thalwik Doctrine in international law. This is Sir Creek historical aspect. Presently, there is the same dispute which is continuing, so our forces are still guarding the entire area. Now coming to the next most important dispute and the most non-violent dispute between the two countries, this is the water dispute. The river dispute. So when we got independence, and after that when we went through the partition, at that point of time there were rivers. The Indus river system, which is a combination of 6 rivers, used to flow. It used to flow through India, into Pakistan, and finally into the Arabian Sea. So there was the Indus River flowing through India and into Pakistan. So the major bone of contention between the two countries was that in times of war, India would stop the flow of river into its own country. So what should be done with that? क्या करना चाहिए उस केस में? So there were concerns with Pakistan, and they were facing apprehension as to what should be done in order for India not to stop the flow of rivers into their country. So we brokered a deal on a global platform by an unbiased organization. So we would be discussing the details. The dispute has been on 3 projects: the BAGLIHAR Dam, KISHANGANGA project, and something known as TULBUL project, a lesser known project. Coming to the Indus Water Treaty. The state of Kashmir and its adjoining area is a origin point for many rivers and tributaries of the Indus River basin. They include the Jhelum and Chenab River, So there are two rivers lying or flowing through Jammu and Kashmir, which primarily flow into Pakistan, all three of them. And the other branches of the Indus River system are Ravi, Beas and Satluj. So it's a system of 6 rivers. They irrigate the Punjab region of northern India. The boundary award of 47 meant that the headwaters of Pakistani irrigation systems were Indian territory. So the Indian territory was the boundary award, and yes, they were facing the apprehension. So Pakistan has been apprehensive that in desperate need, India would withhold the flow and thus choke the agrarian economy of Pakistan. So the Indus Water Treaty signed in 1960 resolved most of these disputes over water, which included mutual cooperation in this regard. But the treaty faced issues. Since the treaty is signed, it has been facing issues when India tries to construct a dam over the rivers. So they were raised by Pakistan over the construction of dams on the Indian side which limit water flow to the Pakistani side, which led to signing of treaty and the disputes further. So let us just discuss the first dispute. It is the Baglihar Dam. The Baglihar Dam, India tried to build on a river on which we had done a treaty, the Indus Water Treaty, which included it. So Baglihar Dam is also known by the name of Baglihar Hydroelectric Power Project. It is run of the river power project on the Chenab River. So be very, very clear, Chenab River. And this is a part of Indus River system, the treaty which we had signed in the southern region of Doda district of Indian state of J&K. So this project started, and as you know that if we build a dam, then what may happen that we can stop the flow of the river or we can divert it. We can store water. The project was approved in 96 and construction began in this year, but according to the country and the power to contest it in international courts. This is the treaty's objective, that if Pakistan feels that the river is being stopped, it can be disputed in international courts. Pakistan claimed that design parameters of Baglihar project violated the Indus Water Treaty in 1960. So they had laid claim that the design was faulty and it would stop the flow of rivers beyond a certain point into their country, Pakistan. So in 2005, Pakistan raised certain objections to the World Bank. So World Bank is a broker and signatory of IWT on a global level. So they had raised concerns in front of the World Bank. So what did World Bank do? In 2005, World Bank appointed a professor, Raymond Laffitte, a Swiss civil engineer, to adjudicate the difference between what was decided and what was the dispute. Why was there a design fault? So he was appointed to study. So Mr. Laffitte declared his final verdict on 2007, which upheld some minor objections of Pakistan, declaring that the pondage capacity should be reduced by this much %, height of dam structure should be reduced by 1.5 meter, power intake tunnels should be raised by 3 meters. So these were very minor changes that he suggested, nothing major, not something which was made out to be very big by Pakistan, to limit some flow control capabilities of the earlier design. This was the Baglihar Dam project. What happened? But he rejected that tall Pakistani objections on height and conformed to engineering norms of the day. So India was doing everything right except for some minor glitches here and there. So this was a Baglihar Dam issue. Remember the river it was on? It was on the Chenab River. Now coming to the second dispute, it's the KISHANGANGA project. The KISHANGANGA project is a very recent dispute that happened between both the countries. And it is also a hydroelectric project located on the KISHANGANGA River. KISHANGANGA River also happens to be a tributary of the Indus River water system. So Pakistan has articulated its objections on the grounds of, again, design, diversion of river water and powerhouse. So the diversion tunnel would reduce the flow of water by 27%. This was the claim by Pakistan. So what happened? In 2010, Pakistan moved the arbitration against India under the provisions of IWT. And in 2013, the International Court of Arbitration, which was a broker and which was deciding on what has happened, Hague, ruled that India could divert a minimum of water for their project. So in this partial award, the court upheld India's main contention that it has the right to divert waters of western rivers. So why does it have the right? Because it in a non-consumptive manner and for optimal generation of power. This was declared by the ICA that there is a partial award. You cannot send the water in a non-consumptive manner and for optimal generation of power. What it means is that you cannot use excessive water for generation of power as to whatever you require. It should be on the basis of what was decided between the two countries as per the IWT. And it should be done in a non-consumptive manner, in a proper manner. So this was the entire dispute. And the third dispute was something known as the TULBUL project. This is a very lesser known project which was on the Vuller Lake, and Vuller Lake is again drained by a tributary of Indus River water. So this is a navigation lock cum control structure at the mouth of Vuller Lake. This is in Kashmir, near Srinagar. If you look at the atlas, you will find it. There has been an ongoing dispute between India and Pakistan over the TULBUL project since '87, when Pakistan objected that it violated the 1960 Indus Water Treaty. India stopped the work on the project that year, but has since pressed to restart construction. It was stopped because of the dispute, but it hasn't been able to restart. So Jhelum River is a tributary of Indus River water, which, it drains Vuller River through the Kashmir Valley below Vuller Lake, provides an important means of transport for goods and people. So India says suspension of work is harming the interest of people in Kashmir and depriving the people of Pakistan of irrigation and power benefits. So this project is still stopped. Remember the name of this project for mains answer writing. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. Hey guys, what's up? So I'm back with my lesson on Indo-Pakistan relations. So this is the fourth lesson in this series, and I would be discussing about why there is a dispute between the two countries. So we had discussed so many reasons in my last lessons. Please watch my earlier 3 lessons for all the disputes. So the first lesson was focusing upon the historical background of India-Pakistan relations, the entire Kashmir issue. Then we discussed about the liberation of Bangladesh, the India-Bangladesh issue. Then I discussed about the Sir Creek issue. I discussed about the SIACHEN issue, the water dispute. In this lesson, I'm going to take my discussion forward and discuss about the Pakistani army issue and what is the relationship between civilian government and the military government in Pakistan. So lesson is presented by me, Ayussh Sanghi. Please hit the contribute to Ayush button if you think that these lessons are contributing you in any manner. So let's start with discussion on civil-military relationship. Now, it's not something new that a civil-military relationship exists. But what is the dispute is that can these two governments or can either of the government dominate the other government or not? So there are governments pertaining to the civilians, there are governments for military. But ultimately it's a government. So government has to have both the aspects in mind. It has to have the social aspect as well as the military aspect. So the civil-military relationship exists in Pakistan, and Pakistani army has to take care of it. So a healthy civil-military relation contributes to a lot to enhance the efficiency of a nation. The efficiency of a nation to be enhanced, and it has to be seen that what kind of relationship works. Now, in modern day or open, the developed societies basically, so these are developed countries, the civil establishment and the military institutes work hand in glove with the political government. This is the developed society rule, that the military will work with the political government or with the elected government for civilians, where political government has the final control on national decisions. This is a normal agenda. The political government should have the control over the national decisions, and they should be in benefit of everyone, whether the neighbors or the civilians or pertaining to your own people, whatever. But in developing democracies, especially in Pakistan, the incidences of military overstep their power, and that is a common agenda, that is a common phenomenon. So developing democracies, the military overstepping the powers, the civilian government, this leads to the problem in Pakistan. So at the end of the day, if the military is overstepping on the governments, the political government's rule, even the political government has no authority, it cannot do anything. So the civil-military relationship exists where Pakistan has witnessed very dominating military relations with the civilian government, where the military takeovers have been seen time and again. Takeovers means that the military government has taken over the entire reins of the whole country. So you'll be shocked to know that since India's independence in 1947 and Pakistan's creation, Pakistan has experienced 30 years of military rule. And these are the periods: 58 to 71, 77 to 88, 99 to 2008. 30 years of military rule, which means, just imagine, in existence of 68 years of its existence. It has almost 70 years of its existence. It has experienced 30 years of military rule. Even when military is not in the government, now this is the problem. Even when the military is not in the government, it has constantly sought to centralize and consolidate political power. It still wishes to exercise its control on the civilian government and the military. Notable military intelligence, the ISI, exerts significant control over the civilian authorities in both domestic and foreign affairs. So this lies to be a major problem in every single aspect of the governance in Pakistan. So Pakistan's third stint of military rule ended in 2008, and it was purely a nightmare for the citizens as well as for the neighbors. Even now, the generals have tried. The military generals, they have tried hard to be seen to be getting out of politics. But behind the scenes, the army still wields immense influence over the political decisions, which becomes a problem. So if there are attacks, if there are overpowering of military of the Pakistan government civilian rule, it becomes a problem. Yet they have tried hard not to be seen to lead the civilian governments, but all their trials have failed, all their efforts have failed. So now they are trying to do just one thing, where they're trying to conceal all their activities behind useless stuff, ceasefire violation, Kashmir issue, etc., etc. But ultimately, the truth is known. Even I would tell you the latest issue, which happened just today itself, 28th of September. I speak as of 20th of September, 2016. I don't know when you'll be seeing this lesson. But today itself, the SAARC summit was due to happen in Islamabad, where the seat was supposed to be transferred. But four countries backed out. India backed out. India backed out first. It wasn't attending. Looking at India, Bangladesh backed out. Afghanistan backed out, and now the news is coming in that Nepal is also backed out. Four countries backed out of the SAARC summit, so the summit stands cancelled. No country would be attending it. It's a big blow to Pakistan after the Uri attacks, where 17 of our soldiers were killed sleeping. That was the truest example of cowardice by a fellow country. That if you have to fight, then you should go the whole hog and then fight. So this was a civil-military relationship on which even Pakistan government cannot exercise control. Now coming on the last part, that is the Gujral doctrine. This is something positive. So we have discussed about all the issues. We've discussed about SIACHEN issue, Sir Creek issue, water dispute, civil-military relationship, Kashmir issue, Bangladesh issue, etc. Now, how were these issues dealt with by the earlier governments? So amongst them, the name that comes up is Mr. I.K. Gujral's name, where he tried to focus upon maintaining bilateral, amicable relationship between countries. This doctrine is an expression of foreign policy initiated by Inder Kumar Gujral in '96, who was the foreign minister in Deve Gowda government. I.K. Gujral himself later became the prime minister. So what did he focus upon? What was the objective? What was his conduct towards foreign relations? The Gujral doctrine is the guide, the conduct of foreign relations with India's immediate neighbors. The doctrine is based on 5 principles. Now this is something that you would have to know, and you can even use this in the answer writing in mains, that what were the principles it was based on. So India has neighbors like Bangladesh, Bhutan, Maldives, Nepal, Sri Lanka. Mind you, there is no Pakistan. There is no Pakistan included in this clause. There is Pakistan obviously, but there is no Pakistan included in this clause. With them, India does not ask for reciprocity. Reciprocity means to ask something in return. So with these countries, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Maldives, Nepal and Sri Lanka, can you please keep... India doesn't ask for anything in reciprocation, but India gives and accommodates what it can in good faith and trust. This is considered to be the first principle of the Gujral doctrine. Second principle is no South Asian country should allow its territory to be used against the interest of another country of the region. You cannot use Bangladesh to gauge an attack against India. You can't use Nepal to enter India through an illegal means. So this was something which is directed towards the neighbors, names of whom I wouldn't like to take, and you would have understood. So no country can enter into each other's country by using someone else's territory. You enter from your own territory. This was the second thing. The third part of the doctrine was that none of the neighbors should interfere in the internal affairs of another. Don't interfere, just talk about it openly. So it was on this basis. And afterwards, each South Asian country must respect each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty. Very, very important. एक दूसरे की इज्जत करो, but लोगों को समझ में नहीं आता है. They don't respect it. There are ceasefire violations. There is unnecessary intrusion. There is everything happening where this clause is being violated. And they should settle all their disputes through peaceful bilateral negotiations. So these were the clauses under Gujral doctrine that were focused upon under all the 5 principles which were focused upon. This was a very ambitious mission of Mr. I.K. Gujral, which was very much welcomed, and it is still in force. But some of the clauses are being violated, and by whom you already know that. So this was everything which was discussed in terms of Indo-Pakistan relations. In my next lessons, I would be coming up with the current scenario which Pakistan is facing. Its economic condition, its political condition, its the Talibani condition, and what should India do looking at Pakistani situation right now. Thank you so much for watching this lesson. Bye. Hey guys, what's up? So I'm coming to the last lesson of India-Pakistan relations. This is the fifth part of the entire static portion, plus whatever relevant dynamic portion that could have been covered. Presented by me, Ayussh Sanghi. So follow me on the Sun Academy username for more of such awesome lessons, and hit the contribute to Ayush button if you think that these lessons are contributing in any manner. Now, in this lesson, I'll be discussing the current scenario of Pakistan. So far, I've discussed about every single thing pertaining to the India-Pakistan relations, as to what is the historical background, what led to the major crisis, what is the water dispute, how has that been solved, what led to the Pakistan civil military crisis, and then we have discussed about the GUJRAL doctrine. So, if we have to consider that why is Pakistan doing so, or how can Pakistan get out of this, we have to understand their current scenario right now. So, analyzing their scenario from the point of view of their economic condition. Pakistan happens to be the world's 40th largest economy. Now, this is as per the 2015 IMF World Economic Outlook Index. I repeat, this is as per 2015 IMF World Economic Outlook Index. Before that, it was on the 44th position. In terms of nominal GDP, for understanding what nominal GDP is, refer to my lesson on national income accounting. So the economy, it ranks 40th, which means that it is not very prosperous economy. The economy is semi-industrialized, not entirely, with centers of growth along with the Indus River. As you know that every civilization, it prospers near the river, wherever there is a water source. So the primary export commodities in Pakistan include the textiles, leather goods, sport goods, chemicals, carpets, rugs, etc. These are primary export goods, and they're exporting them in good quantities, which is very, very good for the economic condition of any country, not only Pakistan, but for any country. So this is the positive side of the economic condition of Pakistan. But what happens, and why has the economy of Pakistan suffered so much? This we have to discuss. It has suffered, reason being, because of the internal political disputes. For understanding the political dispute, watch my last lesson, the last two lessons in fact, where we've discussed that why are there political disputes between military, civilian government, and the fast growing population of Pakistan, which is leading to all the more poverty, which is why the people are not being able to contribute. Even if they contribute towards the economy, it is not very visible. And the last is the mixed levels of foreign investment. So foreign investment, sometimes it's there, it's not there. That is leading to a troubled economic condition, or rather I should say it is leading to a haywire economic condition. So this is the reason why economic condition has suffered, whether it's internal politics, the fast growing population, mixed levels of foreign investment. Which is why we would first need to understand the forex reserves. The forex reserves have increased drastically due to worker remittances, which is a positive sign, because most of the workers, they are working abroad in the Middle East and sending home a lot of money, remittances, led to increase in worker remittances, but growing current account deficit. Reason current account deficit, what is it? How does it affect the economy? It's the difference between expenditure and revenue. It's driven by a widening trade gap. There's a lot of trade gap as import growth outstrips export expansion, and exports have drawn down reserves and decreased the GDP growth. So we have the imports which are more in Pakistan. For the very same reason, excessive imports of oil, excessive imports of other expensive things, which would definitely outstrip the growth, the export expansion. So what happens is that when you have a higher deficit, it always looks negative from the point of view of economic condition. Now, will this improve? The question arises, will this improve in the near future? Given the inadequacies of the way it is being governed, especially confined to revenues and savings coupled with rising expenditures, have caused situation of persistent fiscal deficit. This is more of government expenditure. So expenditure, the current account deficit on the basis of trade, that is negative, and the fiscal deficit where you are trying to increase the revenues, but your expenditures outstrip the revenues, reason being that government is spending a lot due to the poverty situation, due to subsidies that the government may be given, or whatever reason. On top of it, the wars and coups which the Pakistani government is used to have contributed towards keeping the expenditures high. This also is contributing towards fiscal deficit. On top of it, coupled with the demand of the military establishment for state-of-the-art weaponry and other means of war, military establishment demands which compounded the impact, this is also contributing towards fiscal deficit. So everything is contributing towards the increase in fiscal deficit. we have both the deficits, current account deficit or the fiscal deficit, both being high, which is basically spoiling the economic condition of Pakistan, which is why they would resort to funds from China, they would resort to funds from US, they would resort to funds from elsewhere in order to keep their economy up and running. So this is the economic conditions, which is not very good. Now, coming to the political condition, it is basically not a political situation but a political unrest which has been taking place in Pakistan for the last many years. So we very well know that there has been a military rule and there has been a civilian rule. So Pakistan had been suffering from the self-induced political crisis because of the type of rule it is used to, and the opposition party leaders, naming a few like Imran Khan, Tahir ul Qadri, threatened the government of Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif presently. So in case Pakistan, the only winner in the political crisis is the military, which is why the political situation is not leading to anything better, but it is leading to a type of unrest, political situation. The third scenario is the Pakistani Taliban. This is also a troubling scenario, where the Pakistani Taliban originated due to two significant developments. When the US invaded Afghanistan, so that was the origin of Pakistani Taliban. First development was thousands of Pakistani Pakhtun tribesmen were sent for armed action into Afghanistan to resist both American and the NATO forces. The arrival in the tribal areas of Afghan Taliban and Al-Qaeda senior leadership, along with hundreds of all these people, the fighters, Afghan, Arab, etc., it led to the origination of Pakistani Taliban. Now, the Pakistani Taliban heavily funded the people in Afghanistan to provide them with shelter, houses, food, etc. That created insurgency, and that insurgency was created by the military groups who later formed Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan (TTP), which started acting against Pakistan itself. So this insurgency was by militant groups who formed the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan to coordinate their activities against the American and NATO forces in Afghanistan and against the Pakistani Army in FATA and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So this was the origination of Pakistani Taliban, which led to a lot of problems in future. So this is the internal scenario of Pakistan right now, politically speaking, Taliban point of view, and the economic situation. So what is its impact on India? What is the impact on India? India should be aware of the past and learn from the past record of Pakistan's military prowess and power, take over and try to strengthen the whole system. So that's the objective of the military, not the civilian government. But military government overpowers the civilian government, which is why India has to be wary of it. India should try to cope up with the opposition and other political parties in India, and which is mainly the opposition party, which doesn't support most of the stance of the government vis-a-vis Pakistan. Either it's too aggressive, it is acting in both the extremes, which would definitely harm the interest of India in front of Pakistan or any of the rival country. So it should not be a state of political instability in India, else it will hinder the growth and development of India like Pakistan. So India should be very well aware of what kind of impact is there on India. On top of it, people like Imran Khan and Tahir ul Qadris and their politics, if it ever becomes successful, the Talibans would become powerful and would get the center stage in Pakistani polity. We don't want this to happen, which is why the reason the Taliban would get importance in future. So India has to be careful with these developments, and especially considering that India has a majority government, it should not lead to another crisis-like situation between the two countries. So we have to take the actions on the basis of very calculated and careful moves. So this is what the Indian government should be aware about. So this was the entire discussion on India-Pakistan relations. Now, how do you have to use this knowledge? This is the entire static portion plus the dynamic portion, which was up till some of the years before. So recently speaking, all those are contemporary issues. Now, understanding the static portion, these 5 lessons are sufficient. On top of it, if you have to support it with the dynamic portion, please make sure that you are reading the dynamic portion from the newspapers. Time and again, I would be coming out with contemporary issues if they are relevant to this issue, and you can support that with this knowledge. This knowledge can be used from the point of view of answering questions in mains. Thank you so much for watching the lesson. Bye.